It swung on and missed, got him on a splitter.
Fastball, strike three, and Curt Schilling fans aside.
Strikeout number 7 for Curt Schilling.
Those Phils, Diamondbacks, and Red Sox. Now that he's retired, the conversation turns to his place in history. And for that, we begin in Philly with Bill Conlon of the Philadelphia Daily News. Bill, does Curt Schilling belong in the Hall of Fame?
If you go by the gold standard of the number of victories that it takes to make the Hall of Fame, the answer is no. But if you examine the change in the parameters of not only the postseason, but the way pitchers are being used today, with less emphasis on complete games, more emphasis on having a 7th, 8th, and 9th inning relief pitcher specialist that eats innings and consequently cuts down the number of victories that you're going to get out of your starting pitcher. And I would say, off the top of my head, that if I had a ballot in front of me right now, I would probably lean toward voting for Curt because of the great body of work that he established in the postseason.
Seasons with the Phillies, Schilling was traded to Arizona in 2000, where he helped lead the Diamondbacks to a World Series title a season later in the club's 4th year of existence. Steve Gilbert has been with those Diamondbacks covering the club since the very beginning. Steve, is Curt Schilling a Hall of Famer?
Well, I mean, if it were me voting, boy, that's a tough question. I would say no. Although I think he's an outstanding pitcher, I think could be one of the best big game pitchers, certainly of this generation. Certainly based on his postseason, what he did in the postseason, I think he's a Hall of Famer. Do the rest of his numbers stack up against some of the other guys? Probably not. So I think it's just going to be a fascinating thing to see how the vote plays out and see what kind of emphasis people place on the postseason over the regular.
Thanksgiving in 2003, Schilling was traded from the desert to Beantown. Ian Brown covers the Red Sox for MLB.com. Ian, you saw him during the last 4 years of his career, and of course his last game being Game 2 of the 07 World Series against the Rockies. Does Curt Schilling have your vote for Cooperstown?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just look at the simple fact that, two things. 16 pitchers have had 200 wins and 3,000 strikeouts, and he's one of them. And the second thing is, out of every pitcher in postseason history who's had at least 15 starts, Schilling's 2.23 ERA is the best of all time. So to me, those things show that this guy took his game to a high level, for a long time. And, his overall win total might be a little bit skimpy, that's true, but he had the dominance, especially, when he was really in his prime. He was a guy that you wanted not only to pitch and take the ball every fifth day in a rotation, but also he was the guy you wanted to have pitch in Game 7.
Journalist Hal Bodley and MLB.com senior correspondent saw every one of Schilling's All-Star Game and World Series outings. Hal, should Curt Schilling be elected to the Hall of Fame?
Well, no, it's really a tough call. When I look at Schilling's career, I think of Jack Morris and I think of Bert Blyleven. Those guys are somewhat marginal guys who probably should be in the Hall of Fame. And when you look at all of Curt's numbers, they're very similar to those guys. So I think that he's probably certainly not a first ballot choice, but maybe down the road a little bit he will make it. And when you talk about the Hall of Fame, during that period of time, I guess starting back in 1992 and up through his great years in Boston, he was really a dominant pitcher. There was a period when there was no pitcher any better than Curt Schilling in the major leagues. When you wanted a big win, a big outing, he always came through.
The debate will continue for at least 5 years as Schilling waits for his name to be on the Hall of Fame ballot, and it may continue long after that as well. I'm Noah Kozlov for MLB.com.